5-1. Today we're going to be talking about estimating with fractions. So if you're one of those people that don't really care for fractions too much, this will probably be your favorite fraction lesson ever because it's about not using fractions. So this is actually a very useful skill that you can use in life because estimating how much things cost and estimating how long things are to figure out how much you need to buy something, things like that, that's something you actually really use in life every day. So this is going to be something that is useful for your life. So here we go. Alright, so the first example that I want to show you is that we're going to be adding these two mixed numbers. So we're basically going to find a little shortcut because we understand what's going on and we're going to make it easier for ourselves. So basically, in this case we have 3 2/3 and 5 1/6. So how are we going to round up? How do we choose? So the first thing I always look at when I look at fractions and I'm going to be rounding them up or down, I try to figure out, well, what's half of the denominator? So if I was thinking about half of 3, that would be like 1.5, right? 1.5. That's about half in the middle of 3. So basically, we are going to be talking about that. This is going to be a little bit above 1/2, so we're going to round up. So 2 out of 3 is a little bit over 1.5, so that means that we're going to round up. So we're going to round this up to 1, so 1 plus 3 gives you 4. So now we're going to be dealing with a whole number 4 instead of 3 2/3. It looks a lot less scary. Alright, let's go ahead and look at 5 1/6. Now, if I'm thinking about half of 6, so what would I need in the numerator to make it a half? I would need a 3 in the numerator. And since 1 is less than 3, that means I can tell that 1/6 is less than 1/2. So I'm going to round down. So I'm not even going to worry about this anymore. I'm going to keep this as 5. So now I'm going to do 4 plus 5, which is a lot easier, and say the answer is about 9. So the bad thing about estimating is that you're not going to get an exact answer. So if you're really going to use it in real life, like trying to figure out how much money to bring to the store or figure out how much of something that you need to buy, you would always want to round up. So, alright. So in this case, we are going to be using a specific type of rounding called compatible numbers. So basically, it's numbers that make solving problems easier. Now, it's not the same as what we did here because what we did was direct estimation. Now this, we are going to move it, maybe round it up a little bit more than it should be or a little bit less than it should be to make it easier for us to solve. Now let's look at this example. In this case, if I was usually going to round this, I'd see 9 7/8, and I see that 7/8 is almost 1 whole, so I'm going to round up this to 10 instead of 9. And then in this case, 4 1/5. 1/5 is a very small fraction. It's less than 1/2, so I'm going to round it to 4. Now, 10 divided by 4, are you going to get an even number? No. So, this is where I get my little thought bubble going on, because I'm thinking about it. Now, because I really want to use numbers to make it just really easy for me. So, if I round up to 5 instead of rounding to 4, like direct estimation would tell you, I could divide 10 by 5 and get a whole number. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to round this up to 5. And so 10 divided by 5 is going to give you, not 5, it's going to give you 2. Alright, so that makes it a little bit easier for us if we're rounding a little bit up or a little bit down, a little bit more than usual to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. So let's go ahead and do a few examples of rounding. Let's go ahead and use our estimation skills to make our math a little bit easier. So in this case we have 8 3/8 plus 1 4/5. So 3/8, is that close to 1/2? I think half of 8 is 4, so 3 is not quite 4, so that means we're going to round down. I'm just going to keep it as 8 plus, and I'm going to have 1 4/5. Now I know that half of 5 is 2.5, so it's basically, that's in between, in the middle of 5. And I know that 4 is really close to 5, so I'm just going to round up. So plus 2, which is going to give me 10. So this answer is about 10. Anytime you see this symbol, it's basically just saying, I know this isn't the exact answer, it's something close. So this is the exact answer, this is not quite. So let's go ahead and estimate this second problem. We have 2 5/6 minus 1 1/8. So in my head, I'm thinking half of 6 is 3, 5 is greater than the half, so that means it's going to be, we're going to round up. So I'm going to round 2 5/6 to 3. And then I'm going to subtract 1 1/8. Now, half of 8 is 4. 1 is less than 4, so I'm going to round down. So I'm going to just keep it at 1. So 3 minus 1 is going to give you 2. So our estimated answer is 2. All right, let's do a little multiplication. We have 5 and 5/7, 2 and 7/8. So let's go ahead and round, or estimate. So in this case, we have half of 7 is a little bit less than this. So we know that we're going to round up because 5 is closer to 7. So 5 and 5/7 is now going to be rounded up to 6 times 2 and 7/8. So I see that 7 is only 1 away from 8, so I know that it's closer to 1 than it is to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and round up. So I'm going to have 6 times 3, which is going to give you 18. So my estimated answer is 18. All right, now let's go ahead and practice using compatible numbers. So we're going to switch things around to make it a little bit easier than this. So we're just going to make sure that it goes in evenly. So we're doing a division problem here, so we're going to be definitely wanting to divide. So it's even and just get a whole number answer. So in this case, we have 21 and 5/6 divided by 9 and 3/4. Now we don't want to do this whole change it into improper fraction, flip the second one, then multiply across, and then simplify. We don't want to do all that. So we're just going to skip ahead. So we're going to go ahead and round. 5/6 is a little bit more than half, because that would be 3 would be half of 6. So it's round up, so we're going to have 22. I'm going to have to be looking for this number. What's the closest number to this fraction that's going to make this even? So let's go ahead and do 9 and 3/4. First of all, I'm going to think, okay, I want to round to 10, right? Because this would round up to 10. But now I'm thinking, okay, 22 divided by 10, I'm not going to get a whole number answer, and that completely defeats the whole purpose of using estimation. So I know in my head that this is a 22, so that means 11 goes into it. So I'm going to go ahead and round up a little bit more and round up to 11. So now I'm going to get an even or a whole number answer of 2. So that's a little bit easier. So with using the compatible numbers, we figured out that this answer is about 2. All right, let's go ahead and read this word problem real quick. It says a seagull's wingspan is about 2/3 of a bald eagle's. The eagle's wingspan is about 6 and 2/5. Estimate the seagull's. So basically we want to figure out how long are the seagull's wings if we know the comparison between the seagulls and the eagles. Kind of rhyming here. All right, so basically I'm going to first think about what operation am I doing? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. What am I doing? Now, whenever I see 2/3 of something, anytime you see that of, you're going to be multiplying. So that means I'm going to be doing 2/3, which is the comparison, times 6 and 2/5. So now this looks just like what we were doing over here. So we pulled our problem out of all of these words and we got what we're trying to solve for. So now let's go ahead and multiply. Now, if I was going to round 2/3, that is about, we'll just keep it at, because 2/3, 2 is like really close in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and round it up to 1. Times, we're going to do, alright, so we're doing 2/3 times 6 and 2/5. Now, first I'm going to go ahead and round this number. 6 and 2/5. Now 2/5, 6 and 2/5, that's about 6. So I'm going to keep it at 6. But in my head, I noticed that if I multiply 6 times 2, I'm going to get 12. Divided by 3 is going to give me 4. So it's a little bit easier to do it in my head that way. So I'm going to go ahead and do 6 times 2. I'm going to get 12. And then divided by 3, which is going to give me 4. So my answer is about 4. Alright? Okay, so make sure you have all of your notes done. If you have questions, as always, go back into your book, look at more examples, try to figure it out for yourself so you can have exact questions for me tomorrow. So we'll go over it tomorrow. Now let's go ahead and look at your on your own questions.
Alright, you have 4 problems to do for me. Go ahead and estimate these fractions, make them whole numbers, add, subtract, multiply, divide them, and then you'll get your estimated answer. Alright, we'll see what you get tomorrow. Good luck.